So in today's video I am going to discuss should you give the CAT exam and how to give the CAT exam. And essentially the CAT is conducted by the Indian Institute of Management, and this is your gateway to get an MBA degree from these institutions of high repute. Now essentially I have mentioned in some previous videos also that there are a plethora of people who are stuck in humdrum disciplines and majors which do not resonate with them. And for these people, the exit strategy is to give the CAT examination and do the MBA degree. And actually, once you decide to do the MBA degree, the particular coursework which you are doing in your college becomes very relevant because this coursework gives you a background material which you are likely to use sometime in your life if you land up in a industry situation which is based on that particular bachelor's degree discipline. So for example, if you have done a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, you may end up working in some company which has mechanical as its basic production system or manufacturing system, and then your particular bachelor's degree is going to be useful. You do not at that stage need to know all the nitty-gritties about machine design or thermal systems or solid mechanics or fluid mechanics, but it will help that you know some of these aspects, and therefore you can supervise the engineering people and direct them toward the larger aspect of business case studies and so on. So essentially remember that all companies, corporations and even public sector units exist to bring some product or service out for the customers, and therefore this is a fact which you get formal training for when you do the MBA program. So essentially, if we go back to the CAT examination, you have a verbal, a mathematical and a logic based section. And essentially here, to prepare for the verbal section, you need to concentrate largely on reading comprehension. Now the best way to develop reading skills is to read voraciously through the last few years of college and even before that in your high school, and this is something I have been recommending to people for a long time. And essentially your reading should include fiction, non-fiction, as well as some basic books on humanities, social sciences, as well as the sciences. You should also make it a point to read a newspaper each day so that you know how writing is done and what are the important topics which are being covered today. Now during this phase, it's very important to read things which you do not read normally. For example, if you are a major in computer science, you should make some effort to read books on philosophy or literature, because these will bring a set of skills to you which is not being taught in your curriculum. Similarly, if you are a person who is in the humanities or social sciences side of the equation, then you can spend some time in reading popular science books, for example on genetics, on biology and so on. And you can also look at some of the mathematics books as far as high school is concerned. So now one more aspect is vocabulary, and vocabulary is not particularly enormously important for this examination, but I would recommend that you go through one of the various vocabulary books out there in the public domain and make it a point to read up the vocabulary which is typically required of GRE and GMAT also. That will strengthen your case, because if you know a large number of words, then it is easier to comprehend any passages which you read, because sometimes there may be passages which use a lot of verbose language, and in that case you do not want to be intimidated by such passages. Now when we come to mathematics, here the requirement is high school mathematics, and here I would say mathematics in class 9 and 10, and especially if you have studied mathematics beyond 10th, this will be even simpler for you. So again, people who have been majoring in the engineering and science discipline will have some level of comfort here, but also remember that the mathematics questions being asked are at a very basic level of geometry, coordinate geometry and so on. And therefore you need to look at some of the basic aspects of the mathematics rather than look at differential equations or group theory or topology or something like that. So the fact that you are a math major may not help your case very much. You have to go back to your high school and look at problem solving. So there is a big difference between theorem proving and problem solving, and that's something you need to keep in mind. Now, beside mathematics and verbal, there is also a section on logic, and here you can improve your logic skills by trying to solve puzzles. Now, especially in the computer science community, there has been this big push toward puzzle solving, and this is a practice of many companies in their interviews and examinations. So you can pick up one of these books and try to solve a variety of puzzles here. Also, try to read a lot of books and literature where you have to interpret graphs and tables, and these kind of literature reading, especially in the system where you are dealing with papers and so on, will help you to improve your skill as far as looking at data interpretation is concerned. So again, this is a skill which will come to you naturally if you are in the social sciences and science streams, because essentially these streams involve getting results, doing experiments, and working with these results and experiments in a tabular or graphical form to interpret some of these things. So again, any kind of data extraction, data visualization will help you here. Now, essentially, these are some of the aspects of the CAT examination, and as you can realize, this is very similar to aptitude tests. So I would say there is a lot of similarity between the CAT, the GMAT, and the GRE, and the fundamentals being tested are quite similar. So I would also recommend that you give all these examinations as a mock test to see which you are best at, and also to see how you can benefit in any one of these examinations by giving the second examination. So again, a study of GMAT or GRE is also going to help you in the CAT and vice versa. Now, you don't need to get a very high score in CAT to be shortlisted and selected. So that is also something you need to keep in mind, especially if you are a student of arts and humanities and you are shying away from CAT because you think it has got a mathematics section. Let me assure you that the mathematics section is actually very simple. It is nothing like the mathematics in CBSE board in class 12 or in the college situations for engineering and science student. But the trick here is that the mathematics can be something which is looking more at your thinking skills, at your reasoning skills, and therefore only requires some fundamental knowledge at the class 9 and 10 level. So again, you can download some of the NCERT books from the internet and you can read these books for the class 9-10 level, and if you are interested you can read beyond also, but that may not be necessary. Now, typically you should set aside 6 months to 1 year to prepare for this examination, but as far as the verbal aspects are concerned, you should start preparing for these right from the time you enter college or even high school, because it is very difficult to ramp up verbal skills very suddenly, though you can ramp up quantitative skills quite suddenly by just reviewing the different books, because they will be somewhere in your brain. But the verbal skills as they are taught in the school system are often somewhat disparate from the skills which are required in examinations like the CAT. So very often reading comprehension is not something which is given much importance in various college curriculum, where you are supposed to read up a lot of things and just reproduce these in the examination. So you need to put some time at developing these reading comprehension skill and set aside a few months for giving examinations and then going back and further reading the material and going through this process repeatedly till you become a master of the CAT examination. So again, mock tests are going to help you here, but remember to use a few mock tests and again use the feedback from these mock tests to improve your performance so that you are able to do well on the final examination day. And again, I would suggest that anybody who is giving the CAT examination could also consider the possibility of giving the GMAT examination. So that would allow you to do an MBA in foreign countries, particularly in the USA. And if you get a very good score in the GMAT mock tests or in one of the Barron's Guide tests and so on, then you may actually give the GMAT examination, and there is always a small but finite probability that you can even get financial aid for some of these situations. So that is something to keep in mind. So I hope you benefit from this video and stay tuned to my channel for more such videos. Thank you very much.